You're listening to the Platte River Bard.
Hello, and welcome to the Platte River Bard. This is Chris Berger.
And I'm Sherry Berger.
And we are here today with Stephen Santa, the artistic director of the Omaha Community Playhouse, and he's here to talk with us a little bit about a whole bunch of stuff. Thanks for coming and talking with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here to speak with you, and we've got lots to talk about, I'm sure. So.
Oh, yes.
And welcome to Nebraska, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Well, I was working on Christmas Carol when you first came, and everybody said hi, and it was really great. And
yeah, you got here in November.
Yeah, November 1 was my first day, and I actually arrived on Halloween.
That's right.
And then spent some time looking at the trick-or-treaters, and then the next day I was just kind of thrown into the world of the Playhouse. Yeah.
Yes, and Christmas Carol was came off really great this year, and it was nice to, and you were there the whole time, just absorbing everything, because wow, there's a lot to absorb.
Yeah, I found it the perfect time to start because I just immediately got immersed right into the Playhouse, and being able to observe Christmas Carol, everyone was telling me all of their stories about the history of it, and they're saying my son was in it, and then we were in it together, and now they're grown, and or my child has played every part that you could play from age 8 all the way up to adulthood.
Yes.
So it was like the best kind of just way to start my time here, just being loaded with all of these amazing memories of Christmas Carol, and really understanding how important the show is to the community. It was really nice.
It really is, and you had a heck of a guide coming in here with Susie, so you can't ask for a better introduction than having Susie kind of show you around.
Absolutely.
And I think it's so exciting for actors to come and perform on the stage. It's the same stage that Henry Fonda
so many
performed
people have
first at, and
yes,
Marlon Brando and his
Boyd
mother, and it's just a kind of a really nostalgic place.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that really attracted me to this position was that history, and knowing that the Playhouse is getting very close to its 100th anniversary and being part of the planning of that, and we've already kind of started that.
Oh, wow.
So that was really exciting. Just a prospect of thinking, wow, I can be a part of celebrating this amazing organization's 100th anniversary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's an exciting year for OCP too, because they are, giving their actors money for performing, which is something that hadn't happened before.
That's a big recent deal.
You're coming in an exciting time.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with that because that all happened before me. But I will say, on one of my interviews for the job, I actually was asking about that because I said, well, your runs are really extensive. You're doing 4 5-week runs plus a 6-week rehearsal, sometimes 7 weeks. That is a huge time commitment for community members. Had you ever considered any sort of compensation for your performance? And they said, well, actually, this season we just started that. And I was like, yes, that is amazing.
That was a huge deal. I remember that was a big deal, and still is. And now you jumped in November and figured everything out, but now this is your first show that you're actually directing at the Playhouse, correct?
Yes,
which
Kinky
would
Boots.
be Kinky Boots, which is going on right now. You just had your opening weekend.
We had a fantastic opening weekend. I was so happy on our preview. The audience just immediately shot up to their feet at the bows, and they stayed up, and they were dancing and clapping and waving throughout the whole entire bows, which was exactly what the show needs and deserves. So I was so thrilled to see that response from our audiences, and it happened every night since. So I can hope that trend continues as well. But the show just leaves you with such an incredible high and such an incredible message. So it's hard to resist not standing up and dancing along with the actors up there.
I remember seeing the casting of it, and you have an incredible cast. And what a heck of a show to come in on. Are there any tickets left?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, because I saw something the other day that was saying, better get them now. They could be gone. So I guess they're going quickly. But yes, there are still tickets left for Kinky Boots.
There are, yeah. There's always tickets to be had.
Okay.
You know, particularly on those Wednesday evening performances we have, those seem to have the most tickets availability. But then you get into the weekend, it gets a little trickier. But yeah, there's still lots of tickets available.
Good.
As far as specifically Kinky Boots, is this a play that you had experience either being in or directing before?
So,
because you've done a lot of stuff, so
yeah, I have an interesting kind of connection to Kinky Boots.
Okay,
I guess I'm going to name drop, but
that's fine.
I'm from Pittsburgh, where Billy Porter is from.
Okay,
who famously starred in the Broadway production of Kinky Boots and won a Tony Award for it, and it kind of propelled him into the celebrity that he has now.
Yeah, that was his big deal. Yeah.
And I had the fortunate opportunity to work with Billy on several productions in my career and became friends. So I got to see the show with my mom. We went 2 weeks before the Tony Awards.
Okay.
And got to go backstage after the show and talk to Billy. And it's one of my fondest memories because we all were kind of in this dressing room and having this moment of reflection saying, like, your life is about to change. And like the electricity in the show that night in the room, knowing that it was 2 weeks from the Tonys and everyone was saying he was going to win, the show was going to win.
Yeah.
And we were just like having this moment of just being on this precipice of, wow, just like, what's going to happen?
Yes. So
that's a really special memory to me. And, you know, pre-Kinky Boots, Billy would text me back in like 5-10 minutes. Post Kinky Boots, post, you know, Grammy and Emmy and Golden Globe. I'll give him a text and like maybe 2 weeks later I get a response. Sorry, but I understand. You know,
it's okay. Good for him.
Yeah, but so I just, my connection to the show is just that. That I had this kind of special memory with Billy and kind of was with him through the whole process of it. And, you know, I remember him saying, I have this show coming up and Cyndi Lauper wrote the music and it's either going to be really good or I don't know, but we're hoping something amazing happens with it. And lo and behold, here we are. And, you know, it won all these Tonys and it's just being produced all over the world. And
this is from a Harvey Fierstein book?
Yes.
Okay, so it was a book first. That's right. I thought it was a book first. And then Lauper did all the music and the lyrics and everything.
Yes, there was a film version.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the UK from like 1995, I think. And then they made it into the musical when Harvey wrote the book and Cyndi wrote all the music. And boy, it's just such a celebration of love and acceptance and community. And, you know, it's just a joy to watch. And it was a joy to rehearse. We had such a good time in the rehearsal room. And it's very rare that performers ask for extra rehearsals.
Oh.
Wow.
But these dancers were like, oh, we need more time working on these dances. So they were scheduling more rehearsals. And I was like, great. You want more time? We will give it to you. If you're really that dedicated to making it the best it can be, let's do it.
That is fantastic.
That was really a wonderful thing to see.
Well, gosh, I was going to ask you what was one of the biggest challenges, but I don't know. Was there sort of an unexpected challenge with this that you went into it?
Definitely the biggest challenge is the treadmills. So if you don't know the show, in the very end of Act 1, there is a huge dance number where the conveyor belts that are used throughout the show to move shoes along that are packaged up, they magically kind of transform into dancing spaces, and they rotate around the stage, and the actors are on them dancing while they're moving. So we had to build those from scratch. And there's no kind of guide about how to make a moving conveyor belt treadmill and then how to put actors on it. And, you know, so
learn as you go.
Yeah, it was one of those things that, you know, Michelle Garrity, who was our fantastic choreographer, staged the number. And we were very clear that saying, we're going to stage this knowing that whenever we get these treadmills and get them in the room, things are going to change.
Yeah.
And the cast was so up for that, for knowing, okay, now we have these things, now we know how they move, what speed they go. They were so up for just being able to adapt and work on their feet and make the number the best it could be. So that was certainly a unique experience, kind of navigating this really kind of incredible prop of a moving treadmill dance floor.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, but it looks great.
God,
So worth it.
You got to build the whole thing. That's right. Well, when you think of that, it's like, you just go out and get. No, you can't go out and get one of those.
Yeah, we actually bought 4 treadmills from Target.
Oh.
All
And
right.
then our shop basically just ruined the warranty by taking them apart. And they were like, there's no warranty left on these things because they're unrecognizable now.
Sure.
But they did a fantastic job
They can do anything.
designing and creating them. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah.
But you probably had a good comfort level with it too then. You knew what you wanted to see, and that probably really helped with your casting as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I didn't cast the show because it was cast prior to my arrival because it was supposed to happen pre-pandemic. But
Yes, and it got pushed back.
But thankfully,
Yeah.
it was cast to perfection,
Good.
which makes my job very, very
Yes.
easy when it's cast so well.
Yes, indeed.
And you're almost ready for your last production of the season. So you're almost ready to do Respect in June.
Yeah,
So
Respect.
You're in rehearsals for that
Yes.
right now. Are you directing that one? Or?
Kathy Tyree is directing Respect, and she has an ensemble of 6 incredible female voices. And it's an original piece that is all music from the 60s and 70s, with a very kind of light script, just kind of talking about the history of these songs and why they're important. And it's really meant to be just a fun night out for audiences to hear some really recognizable tunes, and just hear some incredible voices singing these songs. Yeah.
Almost done with that. And then you start your new season that I know you've announced, but we thought we would come in and kind of hear what you've got going and which ones that you had planned on directing.
So when I arrived too in November, it was kind of right towards the end of the season planning.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be a part of that for the sort of end of the process, which
Okay.
was really exciting. But boy, we have put together kind of a blockbuster season.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I was looking over it again, and I had forgotten everything that you guys put into this season. This is an incredible season.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about it the other day, and I was saying
11 shows.
we're doing musicals like Rent, Dreamgirls, In the Heights, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes, Little Shop.
These are shows that like maybe other theaters will do one per season and say that's our big blockbuster. We're doing all of them in one season.
Yeah. That's one season. That's still the same season, and there's still more. That's the thing.
Yeah. So we'll start off the season with a play called The Legend of Georgia McBride, and then our first big musical this season is School of Rock, which I'm so thrilled about.
So The Legend of Georgia McBride is going to be in August, and then School of Rock starts in September.
I had not seen Georgia McBride. I read a little bit about it. This sounds hilarious. So it's what like an out of work Elvis impersonator essentially kind of subs in for his friend's drag show, and what turns out he's really good at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're ending the season with drag, and we're opening the season with
I
drag.
thought that was, it's a little balance there.
Maybe some of the boots will make it into both shows.
The
I wouldn't
costumers
doubt
would
it.
probably be really happy.
Yeah, but it's a really fantastic play that was off Broadway by Matthew Lopez.
Okay.
And you kind of got the plot just right. This young man who has a fiance. He is a out of work Elvis impersonator at kind of this dive bar, and the bar's not doing well, and the owners say, okay, we have to get this bar revamped. How can we do that? Let's bring in some drag queens.
Okay.
And one of the drag queens has a diva moment, doesn't want to go on, and he is thrust onto the stage and becomes Georgia McBride.
Georgia McBride.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's hilarious. And the script is really fun because there's this wonderful story happening, and then the playwright has kind of stuck in all of these drag numbers in between.
Okay.
So it's really presentational, super fun, and I think people will just have a blast with it. Yeah.
Excellent. I had not seen it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing that. Now, School of Rock, huge. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be huge, and a bunch of kids
Yeah.
in this one.
And the kids, when you license the show, it's very fascinating. They tell you that the kids have to play live on stage.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of the contract. They say they can't be dubbed over, they can't be pretending. So when you come, you're going to see a full live rock band of children 10 to 14.
I
Wow.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an
And that's the
interesting
deal when you
stipulation.
do the show.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've have an amazing partnership with the Omaha Conservatory of Music. They've been helping us get the kids prepared, doing audition workshops.
Yeah.
We have a ton of kids sign up to audition, which is actually happening this weekend.
bet, yeah.
But people I think also don't realize that there's a lot of amazing roles for adults in the show too. I think people just think, it's about the kids, but there's some really wonderful roles for adults in School of Rock as well. But it is really kind of about the kids.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. But the adults have some good stuff too, for sure.
Yeah, you do want to come and see the kids rock out.
Yeah, absolutely. For real.
Yeah. Well, and there isn't always a play that has mainly children in it and is part of your regular season. Isn't maybe something that's separate for children. So.
Yeah, and why I was really excited about this show being on our season is I was just thinking about if I were a kid, and when I was a kid, if I would have come to the Playhouse and seen kids on stage doing something so incredible, it would have inspired me to go pick up an instrument or go take an acting class or go take a voice lesson. Mm-hmm. And I just hope that's what happens here, is that we put together this incredible production with these amazing, children musicians, and it inspires everyone who comes to get involved in the arts in some capacity.
Yeah, that's great.
That absolutely will happen. I've heard a couple of children that are sons and daughters of some friends of mine who came to see a couple of shows I was in that happened to have a lot of kids and kids parts and kids with lines and real parts and stuff like that. And that had never occurred to them that they could just go do that. That was, that they wouldn't just be a part of the chorus. And so they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was just this little play they went to see, and it was just, I can do that? Well, yeah, you can. And remember, they asked me after the show, so the kids just come and audition? Yeah, just like everybody else.
Exactly, yeah. And that could be you up there.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to work at it, but that could be you, yeah.
And they went and did it.
Yeah.
And it was just the neatest experience, and I'd never experienced that before. But it was, they had seen all the other kids doing that.
And speaking of which, I know I'm kind of throwing a wrench into our flow for the season, but you have a really heavy education background, and then of course the Omaha Community Playhouse has their own programs for kids too. So, and you're probably working at heading that up as well.
Yeah,
so,
I've done a lot of theater education in my past, and it's super important to me. And we're currently in the process of sort of reevaluating what the educational programming can look like at the Playhouse.
Okay.
And just kind of taking a step back to look at the landscape of theater in Omaha and really understanding the communities that maybe aren't being served, and maybe there's a way that we can make some impact within those communities with theater education. So there's a lot of things in the works that I'm really excited about.
That's cool. Good.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back to hear more about
Yes,
that.
definitely.
Yeah. That's because that's a big part of the Playhouse is all the education and all the
Yeah,
programs and
something
stuff
I've
that go
always
on here
done.
for sure.
So then after that, you're doing the cake.
The Cake.
The Cake, which I'm not familiar with at all. What is The Cake?
The Cake is a fantastic comedy. It's written by Becca Brunstetter, who is a writer on the hit TV show This Is Us.
Okay.
And the story was inspired by the Supreme Court case with the Catholic bakery that did not want to bake a cake for a gay couple.
Okay.
Now, the story revolves around a baker in the South. She's in her 60s, and she's kind of beloved in the community. She's a wonderful baker, and her goddaughter comes back from New York and says, I'm coming home, I'm getting married, you have to make my cake. It just so happens she's getting married to a woman.
Okay.
So the struggle here is, do you stay true to your values, to your faith, but how does that damage the relationship with your family and your friends? And what's kind of brilliant about the show is that it doesn't alienate anyone in the audience when you come see it, even though it is kind of dealing with these kind of socially relevant topics.
Right.
It's presented in a really smart way. That it's full of comedy, and it's really more about the characters and their struggles than it is kind of politics in any
about
way.
the issue.
Yeah.
It's not preachy.
It's not preachy at all. And I love that at the end of the play, the playwright writes, the play's over, but when the audience exits, they should be greeted in the lobby with a slice of cake and encouraged to stay and talk. And we're going to do that.
Oh, wow.
So when
That
with your ticket, you'll get a little slice of cake on your way out. Yeah.
How neat is that?
But I was really excited about this show because it's important to me that we're programming shows that are going to spark conversation.
Yes.
And I feel like this play will do that, and it'll get people talking, and it'll get people discussing on the way home, and hopefully for days after what they saw. And I think that's a really powerful thing that theater can do. Yes, it can be escapism. You can come and have a good time.
For sure.
But it can also spark conversation.
Absolutely. All good theater does, even if it is escapism.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So after that is Christmas Carol. So
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. And of course, after that, Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Who's doing Christmas Carol?
There will be a directing team involved.
Of
Yep.
course.
And I will be on that team to, still get familiar with the show and how it is put together, because it is such a
lot of moving parts.
And it's a well-oiled machine, and I really want to make sure I'm immersed in all of that. But Susie will be back to kind of work on the show this year too, which will be great.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that'll be super fun.
And then you're going to do another Christmas show, but it's got a little bit shorter run than Christmas Carol. You're going to do Sisters Christmas Catechism. The mystery
it's-
of the Magi's Gold.
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
sorry.
Sister is back. I know she's been here before at the Playhouse, and this is her holiday show, which is so fun. There's a little bit of audience interaction in this show. There's interaction in all of her shows. But,
yeah.
but she creates the whole manger scene up on stage by pulling people out of the audience and put some costume pieces on them. And there is a holiday choir that's involved in the show that's full of local artists. So it's going to be such a fun show.
That'll be neat.
And a way to get some people involved in the show as well, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, a little descriptor on the website said it's a little bit of a CSI Bethlehem,
Yes.
which I think sounds hysterical.
Yeah, those shows are a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'll be good.
And then August Wilson's Fences.
Yeah.
And you have another connection to his shows.
Yeah, I said I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where August Wilson was born and raised, and I said when I got here, well, I have to bring a little bit of Pittsburgh with me, so
Absolutely.
let's do some August Wilson.
That's awesome.
For sure.
And our play reading committee was all on board for that. And I'd asked why the Playhouse had never done August Wilson before, and I got some education that the John Beasley Theater was in town, and for many years they were doing the August Wilson, and they were doing a lot of great work, and the Playhouse felt like we don't want to step on their toes. They're doing such tremendous work doing August Wilson, but it's time.
It is.
And I'm so happy that we're going
Stuff
to.
is so good. Too,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. August Wilson's writing is so lush, and it's almost like poetry, and I just think that Fences is the right play to kind of not to introduce, but to a way to bring August Wilson to the Playhouse with the play that's kind of the most kind of accessible, recognizable. There was a film version of it, with Denzel and Viola Davis that was really well received, and I'm just thrilled that we're going to be able to present it on the main stage. I kind of told you before, but I kind of just tell the story again because I think it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Coming from Pittsburgh, there's a theater company called Pittsburgh Playwrights Theater, and
Okay.
their artistic director worked with August Wilson, and a few years ago, his childhood home became a historic landmark, and this theater company was able to present August Wilson's works in the backyard of his childhood home. So you would sit there on bleachers, and they did fences, and they would come in and out of the actual house, and they had chickens in the yard, and you could hear the cars driving by, and you could hear the neighborhood, and you could feel the wind, and it was the most magical theater experience I've ever had in my entire life, to be watching someone's words in the house, in the backyard of the house they grew up in.
Right.
It was just such a remarkable experience.
And
Yeah.
the place that he was most likely inspired by.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
most
because he
all of
wrote,
it.
very much what he knew and of his area, and that would have been absolutely amazing. And do they still do regular plays and stuff at his home still?
I believe they're returning in 2023. Obviously, they took a break during the pandemic
Sure.
and everything, but I think they're returning soon. So
That's amazing. God, if you're ever up in Pittsburgh,
Right.
go do that.
Yes, there
Oh
you
my
go.
God.
That's a neat. That's really neat, and it's neat that you're bringing it here. Is that one that you're going to direct then? Since you're
No, our new associate artistic director, his name is Brady Patsy. He will be directing Fences. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. But the next show, I will be directing.
Oh,
that will be Rent.
Yes.
Oh, you're doing Rent?
I am. And
all right.
It's so funny because I have a Rent tattoo. I have a...
He owns up to it.
I was not expecting
Yes,
that.
I know.
There are like 20 different things I would expect you would say.
And
Before you say that.
I love Rent.
Obviously.
Yeah. And I have never had the opportunity to direct it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've always wanted to. It's just kind of always escaped me in some way. And, you know, when I arrived, the season planning committee had already chosen it. So I didn't even have to pitch it. It was already happening.
It was already happening.
But
It's like they knew.
It's like they knew. Yeah. But I did kind of say to them, if I'm going to direct this, I would really like to do it in the Howard Drew.
I saw that
Yeah.
it's a Howard Drew. Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to present it in a more kind of intimate, immersive setting. And I think that it's such an iconic show, and it's a period piece at this point.
Yeah.
If you think about that, isn't that
I
wild?
I know. God,
Yeah,
I know.
Rent is a period piece.
Oh, my God.
But that's why it was so important to me to kind of present it in a new, invigorating way.
Yeah.
Because the original staging is so iconic, and people are so used to seeing it in a proscenium way, and I want to kind of mix it up a little bit and be able to have the show kind of be in your face and have the audience feel like they're really a part of it. And I'm just really excited to present it in such an intimate, immersive way.
Yeah, they will for sure in there. Yeah, I was actually legitimately surprised. I was expecting to see that was going to be on the main stage, and I was like, ooh, no.
Well, I will have all the discretion and not ask you exactly where your tattoo is, but I'm very excited that you're going to be directing that one.
Yes.
So, anyway.
Thank you.
And then the next one after that you're going to do is Dream Girls.
Yeah, wow.
So you had two big ones right in a row here.
Yes. You know, when we were season planning, I went online to kind of look at how big the cast of Dreamgirls is. And I looked at the original Broadway production, and there were 34 people in it, which is huge.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, I have to go and see, because nowadays people don't do shows with that many people in it because it's so expensive. If you're thinking of like from a professional setting, they're like 34 people, we can't do that.
Right.
So I wanted to go look and see what other theaters have done and how small their casts have been. And it looks like the smallest cast I was able to find there was a West End production that happened a few years ago that had 28. So it still has to be.
Wow.
So there's no way
Still
that
pretty
Dreamgirls
big,
can be
yeah.
small.
Okay.
It is a spectacle. It is a huge production, and Kathy Tyree is directing. And wow, we're just so excited about it because of that high quality production value.
For sure.
The costumes. Someone said there's like over 50 wigs in it.
Yeah,
Wow.
they say the costumes have to be insane for that.
Yeah, there are literal costume changes where someone walks behind a curtain and walks right back out, and they're in a new costume in like a 2-second scene change.
Wow.
So it'll be amazing for us to kind of figure all those things out, and welcome such a large cast to the Playhouse. And there's nothing more iconic than "And I'm Telling You" as a musical theater song. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the ones
That's huge now.
is just
Yeah.
unbelievable
Yeah.
to see performed.
That caught on and kind of stayed with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for
just
sure.
looking at all of your list, including what you've got going now for Kinky Boots, you have to keep your customers really busy.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes.
You have to have
Yes.
a really strong, talented costume staff as well to pull
Which
it off.
we do. And another reason why I was so thrilled to come here was places like this don't exist anymore, where you come here and there's a fully staffed costume shop, a fully staffed scenic shop, where every single show is created from scratch.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
It's such a unique, incredible place. And when I came here to tour, I was just so blown away by that. And just like, wow, this could be my life. Being able to create these shows from scratch. with these incredible artists and incredible talent here. So I'm still kind of pinching myself that I get to come here every day and be a part of such a unique organization.
That's really interesting, especially because I haven't been around the country a lot, but this type of thing is a lot more rare than you would think. Huh?
Absolutely. I've spent the last 15 years freelance directing all over the country, and you know, people are renting sets, renting costumes, you know, or just not be able to do the scale of what's happening here.
Sure.
So the fact that there's these really large scale, incredible productions that is all completely handcrafted locally is just totally unheard of.
Well, and then in the next one, you've got a puppet for Little Shop of Horrors. That
So-
you've got to
Oh,
integrate
yeah.
into
Speaking
it.
of rental, this
I'm
is a
assuming it's
famous
a
show.
puppet,
Where are we
but-
going to rent the plant?
Let me tell you about this too, because
I like puppets.
you're going to be surprised to hear that I also have a Little Shop of Horrors tattoo.
Oh, no, you don't.
Where are all these tattoos?
That is fantastic.
So
He's the illustrated man.
I know. I kind of came here
I'm
and
not
all
seeing it, folks.
all of my bucket list shows are happening in my first
In your
season.
first
That is
season.
hilarious.
And again, Little Shop of Horrors was not my idea. It was already kind of in the
already
works.
in the works.
And I was just like, wow.
The stars have aligned.
Yeah. So
Such a fun show.
I have a Little Shop of Horrors tattoo. It is probably my favorite show. I've directed it. I've performed in it. I've helped theaters with the puppetry as kind of a puppetry coordinator. Think about like a fight choreographer, but for puppetry. Like, how do you do all the deaths and make them safe? How do you manipulate all the puppets? So I've seen a lot of sets of
Okay.
puppets, homemade
Sure.
sets, rentals. So when we were planning this show, I knew exactly where to go to find the best puppets. And in my opinion, we have the best puppets in America coming to Omaha for this production. It's by a company called Monkey Boys Productions.
Okay.
They just built the set for the off-Broadway production that's happening now.
Okay.
And these puppets are a little different, but the kind of same scale and same size, and they are unbelievable.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So
love
I'm
puppets.
so excited about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then just to find people that have the ability to do the puppets, sometimes that can be a challenge as well. So you're going to be looking for someone who's
Yeah.
been able to move it.
I've found that through my experience, the best people to puppet the shows are musicians, particularly drummers, because sometimes your legs and your arms have to be doing different things in the puppets. So finding someone that already understands that and understands music and can kind of, rub their head and pat their tummy at the same time, make for the best puppeteers for Little Shop.
That's really smart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
How very interesting.
And then after that, you're going to do Pretty Fire, which I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new one on me. Pretty fired.
Yeah, Pretty Fire is an incredible one-woman show by Charlene Woodard, and it is loosely based on her life growing up as a black woman and a black child in the Jim Crow era South.
Okay.
It's very powerful. It's full of memory. It's one actor on stage, and she plays herself as a child, as an adult, her mother, her grandmother, members of the community, and it all just happens seamlessly through this incredible storytelling. So it's a beautiful play, and I'm really happy that we're going to be able to produce it.
Sounds amazing. I
And
always
that-
like one-person shows.
Yeah.
I mean, because it doesn't matter. It seems like every one-person show I've ever seen is always very moving or very funny. It always seems to be incredibly relevant, and the person who is doing it is usually one of the better or best actors you've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
And-
because they have to be.
I know, and that's the thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're-
it's just amazing to see these
The
kind of
dialogue.
shows. So yes,
And no break.
and I know a lot of people are kind of weird about one-person shows. They're like, "Oh, how does that work?" Well, that always excites me because I'm like, "Wow, who did they get?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And what are they? They're going to be incredible.
And
You're
that
going
will-
to see a show.
And that will be intimate, too, because that will be in the Howard Drew.
Yes.
That's Howard Drew as well.
So-
That's in the Howard
That'd
Drew,
be
which
perfect.
will be really nice. Yeah.
And then your last show is In the Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finish
June of
off with a little
2023.
Lin-Manuel. Why not?
Exactly. Just a wonderful theatrical moment. I mean,
Yeah.
In the Heights is just, I mean, I prefer it more than Hamilton. That's just me.
Really?
I just
like a little more than Hamilton.
Yeah, I just like the music, and I connect with the characters a little more in the Heights, and you know, I'm just excited to see it on the Playhouse stage, and you know, we're going to be collaborating with some local Latinx organizations, and I think it will be a nice moment for us to hopefully get some new people into the Playhouse who maybe have never been here before, on stage and off. Yeah.
For sure.
So you have really worked so many places. So I did a little bit of a deep dive into your background. 50 musicals and plays. I think you tend to like musicals. You're more into that realm than straight plays.
Yes, I don't think maybe on purpose. I think I just kind of, my career kind of went into the musicals. Yeah.
Okay.
And then for a few years, I kind of said, well, you know what? I don't want to get labeled as like the musical guy. So I took some time and did some more plays, and I love working on plays. But yeah, I mean, I think that my love for theater started with musicals, and I have a great understanding of how to craft a musical from a directing standpoint, and it brings me such joy to do it. So, but when I get my hands on a really great play, it's super exciting as well.
Yeah. So you're not in your last leg of your career. You're still pretty young, really. And yet you've worked at all of these different places. You've got, 13 other theaters that you've worked in, including the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh in Scotland, and some other places in New York, International Theater off-Broadway, national tours, regional theater. You've worked at all these different places, and yet you ended up here, and we're so thankful that you have been.
Yes.
But how did you get all of that into that timeline?
Yeah, you know,
of youngness.
Every artist has such an interesting journey, right?
Yes.
I started as a performer at a very young age, and kind of what we were talking about before with School of Rock, I went to see a production of The Sound of Music. It was a tour starring Marie Osmond.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool.
As Maria.
I loved Marie Osmond.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I went to see the tour with my mom, and I think I was maybe 7 or 8. Okay. And I had that light bulb moment because I saw kids on stage having fun and having a pillow fight and dancing. And I was like, wait, that's something that I could be doing? Mm-hmm. And I still to this day remember turning to my mom and saying, during the show, I want to do that. And she was like, okay. And, you know, we talked about it afterwards, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. Like, how do we do that? And my mom was a single mom, and she worked really hard to raise my brother and myself. And I don't think she really kind of had any idea what that looked like or what that meant, or how you even get started with something like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember she told me, she kind of just brushed it off and said, yeah, whatever. And then a week later I said, I want to do that theater thing, what we saw. And she was like, oh, okay, he's serious. So she found some classes and put me in some classes. And then a year later, I was in my first professional production, which was Gypsy, starring Joanne Worley as Gypsy. And I was a newsboy. And it all just kind of happened real quick. And then from there, I just kept performing and, doing a lot of community theater, professional theater. Then I, did that all through school, studied, and then after was done studying theater, again, artists have weird journeys.
Oh, yeah.
I had this weird opportunity to become a mascot for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Major League Baseball team.
Were you the Pittsburgh Pirate mascot for a while?
For 5 years.
Oh, my God.
After I was done with my theater training, I was like, I always loved sports, loved the Pirates. I had this weird opportunity, and
Do you
I was
have a tattoo?
It is performance. I do not have a Pirates tattoo.
I had to know.
We got to ask that.
I know, but I should get one. So I spent 5 years as a mascot and, shooting T-shirts out of a gun. And
that's a hard job,
Yeah.
actually. Those mascots, that's a hard job.
Yeah, we also shot hot dogs out of a gun.
That's always
and
cool.
but I got to travel and I got to go to all-star games, and it was this incredible experience. And I actually had to stop because I was getting physically ill. I couldn't keep weight on.
Oh.
because I was in this giant mascot costume
Right.
in 90-degree weather
Yes.
for 81 games a season.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like go to Wendy's after a game and like house like 4 cheeseburgers. I don't even like Wendy's, but I just like couldn't
Yeah,
keep
you couldn't get
weight
enough in there.
on.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just had to say, I just have to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was fun and it was a good part of my life. But so then during that, I was also kind of transitioning out of performing into directing. And I didn't go back to school and study directing. I just started kind of working at it. And I got my first directing opportunity at a local community theater that I grew up at. And the artistic director said, you know, you've been acting here since you were a kid. I've been watching you and, you know, you say interesting things and I can see you watching the directors and I think you could do this. I think you could be a director.
Oh, wow.
And she kind of gave me that first
That's
opportunity.
great.
Nice.
And then from there, just kind of worked my way up, you know, directing at community theaters and then associate directing and assistant directing at regional theaters, which then kind of led me to my work with national tours and things like that. So, yeah, it's just been a weird journey. And after the pandemic was kind of reevaluating things. So kind of to back up, I guess, was doing all of the freelance directing and a lot of teaching artist work. And then I co-founded a theater company in 2015, which I was also the artistic director, called Jumping Jack Theater.
Yes.
Which won some awards. You won an award for it.
Yeah. We a really incredible theater company that creates immersive theater experiences for kids with autism and kids with sensory sensitivities.
Okay.
So I kind of was focusing on that for the last kind of 5-6 years of my career. And after the pandemic, my goal is to always be an artistic director at a larger theater, something like OCP. And I saw this job posting for this position, and it's going to sound cheesy, but I read through it and I felt it in my chest that like,
This is it.
this is my job.
That's the
like,
one. Yeah.
this is the time, everything that they're looking for. I have the experience. And I just felt it in my bones that I'm like, I think I'm going to get this job. And it was a long process. It was
I'm sure,
I
yeah.
interviewed, I sent my resume in March and I went through the whole interview process. And I think I finally got the offer in late August.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was a really long process, which I'm thankful for, that they kind of put me through the ringer. The final interview
Sure.
was in person here, and it was 3 days long. And I woke up the day to come home, and my voice was completely gone. Because I was just talking so much, and when you're having to be on for that
Yes.
amount of time and for that many
exhausting.
days,
Yeah.
my body was just like, and I went home and I told my partner, I said, if I don't get this job, I never want to go through that again. Because it was such a taxing
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
But I'm really thankful that they kind of did put me through the ringer, because it gave me a really incredible understanding of what I was coming into and the theater here. And also it gave me a really great understanding of myself
Yeah.
and what I'm capable of and
What you're looking for.
and what you're
to
looking
do.
for. And yeah, but I'm just so thankful to be here, and I'm looking forward to a long career here. And it's just been a dream so far.
That's wonderful. I love that humility. That's really wonderful. And on top of that, you have some experience in diversity and inclusion. And I know that's been something that OCP has wanted to make sure that they expand on. And I know we've got Kathy Tyree.
Yeah.
And you've got some assistant directors that you're putting into some of these slots that hit more towards that realm. But do you want to talk a little bit about your experience
Yeah.
in that?
So I spent a lot of time with my company, Jumping Jack Theater, which was specifically created to, make theater for kids with disabilities, and essentially kind of an underserved population that, wasn't really given the opportunities to experience theater in a comfortable, safe environment the way that they're going to experience it.
Right.
So my time with Jumping Jack was really amazing. We were doing a lot of educational work in autism and learning support classrooms that then we could take that work back to our creative teams when we were kind of creating our shows to really make them as accessible as possible and kind of take the feedback that we were getting directly from that population to create our shows. But as far as what's going on here, another kind of reason that attracted me to the Playhouse, to coming here, was meeting Kathy Tyree and hearing from the board and hearing from Katie Broman, our executive director, and seeing that they're wanting to do this work not because it's the thing to do right now, or because there's a microscope on them or a magnifying glass on them. It's because they really care and they really value diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility work. And it wasn't just something that they wanted just to have a feather in their cap. They're really they're really devoted to doing that type of work, as am I. And, you know, there's a ton of work to do. It never stops, and I feel that the Playhouse is going in a really great direction. Part of what you're talking about is our directing fellowship program, where we kind of work with directors at different stages in their careers and give them opportunities to assist and direct a main stage Playhouse show. We have this incredible immersive theater experience that we started, where we're bringing in high school students from different high schools in the Omaha area, and they get to spend a full day at the Playhouse to really kind of understand that there are a lot of jobs in the arts. It's not just being on stage performing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's neat. I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah,
that's
so
really cool.
you know, these high school kids are coming here and they're spending a full day and they're rotating through the scenic shop and the costume shop and they're talking to the marketing people, and so they see, oh, I could be a marketing person, I could be an HR person, I could be a development person helping to raise funds, I could make costumes, I can, you know, run a spotlight. That there's so many avenues into the arts that aren't just what we think of as far as performing on stage, you know. And so many theaters that I've worked at only kind of have the bandwidth to put up a show. That's all they can focus on, right?
Yeah.
Is we can just get the show up. That's all we can do.
Sure.
And what attracted me to the Playhouse was that, yeah, they're focused on putting up shows at a really high caliber, but we have the staff, we have the bandwidth, and we have people that are dedicated to cultivating community and working with community organizations and breaking down barriers for people who can't experience theater. And I think we're really devoted, I know we're really devoted to that, and making it truly a place where hopefully the whole entire community feels valued and welcomed. And that's going to take a lot of work, but we're dedicated to doing that.
Well, and I think that's so fantastic, because I know in the past, OCP has worked with Outlook Nebraska for people who are vision impaired. And I know they do have things for people who are hearing impaired. And now you're kind of adding another layer with some of the neurodivergent performances. And then, of course, we've always got the diversity and inclusion, but you have specific, so people know, they may not realize this until they get into your ticket page and then realize that you have these options for people that those performances would be more helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're even exploring more options. You know, we do the shadow signing ASL cast for Christmas Carol, and we just did some sensory-friendly performances for The Giver. And, you know, we're exploring all sorts of new innovative accessibility options for the theater in the future. So
it's great to make art more inclusive.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
fantastic. Well, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that you were interested in spending the time with us so that people can get to know you. I think that's really important.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much for your time. Stephen Santa, the artistic director at the Omaha Community Playhouse. For tickets, go to omahaplayhouse.com.
Thank you for listening and supporting the arts in the Platte River area and beyond. Please subscribe to our podcast so you are sure to catch all of our future episodes, and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Music for this podcast was used with permission by Screaming Skull Productions. See you next time on the Platte River Bard.